Yeah, what's up guys, Cozy here with another Honkai Star Rail video. Today we have two new characters on our hands. Guinaifen, the newest 4-star character, as well as Topaz and her adorable little helper Nambi, the newest 5-star character. Both of them are fire DPS characters, and in this guide we will focus on Guinaifen. If you are interested in the Topaz and Nambi guide, you can also find it on my channel as well, either somewhere on the screen right now, hopefully, or down in the description box. Either way, Guinaifen is a fire DPS character that focuses on damage over time, while also increasing the damage your opponents take. And due to how damage over time works, she is also fairly simple to build, and can be used with characters like Kafka or even Topaz herself due to her damage increase. As such, let us get started with Honkai Star Rail's most famous livestreamer Guinaifen, or her actual name, Guinevere. Guinaifen's basic attack is just that, a basic attack. It does some moderate fire damage, but it becomes important when we take one of her traces into consideration. High pulse makes it so that her basic attack will also apply the same burn effect to your enemies that her skill would apply, with a base hit chance of 80%. This makes her normal attack somewhat decent, because she opens up skill points for other characters to use. Next, let us talk about her skill. Just like her basic attack, her skill also applies a burn effect to your opponents with a 100% base hit chance. But it does that to multiple enemies, not just a single one. The damage over time itself, the dot, the burn effect, whatever you want to call it, does 83% of her attack for 2 turns. Her talent, Patreon Benefits, is where the whole damage increase comes into play. Every single time your opponents take damage from Guinaifen's burn effect, they will suffer 1 stack of Fire Kiss. Each stack increases the damage your opponents receive by 4%. All the damage, by the way, not just the fire damage. This can stack up to 3 times, so it's a 12% damage increase, which, in my opinion, is fairly big. 12% on top of all the damage Kafka does, for example, is absolutely insane. After this, we have her ultimate. Her ultimate does a lot of fire damage to all enemies, and it will immediately trigger the burn status on your opponents. Obviously, for this one to work, you first need to apply burn to them. Captain Obvious here, I know. It is a good ultimate, not necessarily the best one in the game, but decent enough. When it comes to the order in which you level her abilities, I would start with her skill, as it is a main modifier for your burn effect. After that, her talent, because it gives you damage increase, and then her ultimate. Her basic attack, as for most other characters, is the last trace you would level. Of course, when it comes to her major passive traces, you will always unlock them as soon as you can. Speaking of those, we still have a technique and 2 passive traces to go over. Her technique basically does damage, and it also applies Fire Kiss to your opponents. It is a good technique in my opinion, because you can combine it with any composition in the game due to the damage increase it provides. Her other traces are also fairly simple. Bladed Tube advances Guinaifen's action by 25% at the beginning of each battle, and Walking on Knife increases the damage your opponents take whenever they have a burn effect on them. And those are basically all of her traces. The other smaller traces increase her fire damage, her effect hit rate, as well as her break effect. So nothing too fancy here. When it comes to her Eidolons, there's not a whole lot to talk about here, because they are all fairly simple. Eidolon 1 reduces the effect resistance of your opponents by 10% whenever you use her skill. Eidolon 2 increases the damage of your skill and basic attack to opponents that are affected by burn. Her third Eidolon, just like Eidolon 5, increases the levels of your traces, so they work the same as they always do. Eidolon 4 gives her much needed energy regeneration, because now she regenerates 2 points of energy whenever an enemy takes damage from her burn effect. And lastly, Eidolon 6, the best one out of all of them, it increases the amount of Fire Kiss stacks you can apply to your opponents by 1, so that translates into a 16% damage increase whenever you have 4 stacks on your opponents. With that, let us move on to the next section of our guide, the Relics. I know everyone loves them, everyone hates them, depending on your luck, but for Guinevere, they are fairly simple. So, what can we use? The choices are very simple, right? Let's not cut around the bush here. Crit rate and crit damage is useless on Guinevere, because damage over time can't crit. So we kinda only want to have attack and maybe speed. Sets we can use are the Musketeer set and the Firesmith set. We could use a 2-piece combination, or we can go for a 4-piece bonus. Personally, I would go for the 2-piece bonus, because we want to increase her damage over time. When it comes to the substats and the main stats, all you really need is attack. Everything else can be used as well. The only stats you want to avoid are crit rate and crit damage. Obviously, the question is, do we use speed on her boots? Well, you can do so, but she also has 25% increased speed due to her passive trace whenever you enter combat. As such, you could also use attack here. And when it comes to her ornaments, we want to use the Space Healing Station or maybe the IPC set, so the Pan-Cosmic Commercial Enterprise. Though we only use the second one if you absolutely cannot reach the required hit rate. Speaking of hit rate, it's the same as always, 67% hit rate. Once you have that, you are super Gucci. Everything after that goes into attack or speed. And of course, for the link rope, you use attack as a main stat and fire damage on the planar sphere. So, TLDR, effect hit rate until 67%, after that attack and speed. Alright, how about her Lightcones? Well, she follows the basic principle as any other damage over time character in the game. Good Night and Sleep Well, Eyes of Prey, Solitary Healing, Fermata, Kafka's Lightcone, all of them work on Guinaifen. Obviously, it depends on the superimposition level of your Lightcone, and due to the fact that I don't know what levels you have or what Lightcones you have, I will not give a general recommendation in this section. Though, Eyes of Prey is a really good option if you have it, even at level 1, due to the effect hit rate it provides. It makes reaching the 67% way easier. Alright, lastly let us now talk about team composition. For this one we are not going to reinvent the wheel here, she can basically be played in any team composition in the game due to the damage increase she provides. So that is kinda it. Let us now move on to the next segment. Just kidding, while it is true that she can be used in any composition, there are still a few that she excels in. Damage over time teams to be precise. In the background you should hopefully see my Memory of Zhenzhou Stage 6 one with the Kafka and Guinaifen centered team. This one is a very simple team that everyone should be able to go for, even if you don't have Kafka. In that case, just replace Kafka with any other damage over time character in the game. For example, Senpo Luca or even Hook and Himiko. But once again, due to the way she works, Guinaifen can be put into any team there is. 12% more damage is fairly good. It might not be as good as Tinyung or Bornea for example, but if you don't have those characters then Guinaifen is a decent support. So yeah, that is basically all there is to Guinaifen. She's a not too complicated character and she fits into a variety of different team compositions. The damage increase she provides should not be underestimated, and if you don't have characters like Tinyun or Bornea, and I myself don't have Bornea on the live server, she can be used as a decent support character. Overall, I would say that I'm happy with Guinaifen and I'm certain that she will find her place in the game. Other than that, thanks for watching, have a great day or night wherever you live, and I will see you guys in the next video. Also, as usual, comment, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. It helps a lot with the algorithm, so yeah, thanks for that and have a good one. Bye bye.